Hello there, this is a review for Brooklyn, which was released in cinemas back on November the 6th if I recall rightly. Now, literally I have just one word for wow. Literally just wow, what a film. I was most impressed by the performance by all involved, being the actors, the directorial, etc. Especially Saoirse Ronan. She plays the part of Eilish. She's been tipped for Oscar 26 and by golly does she perform, or does she deserve it, I should say. Now I'm not really a huge fan of her work in the past, but yet this film really outdid her performance. It was just unreal. Such powerful performance, great, well done. My number one pet peeve, other than music, which obviously is my number one thing. I love music in a film, but beyond that though, what I'm delighted was wonderful and fantastic, but what's the plot? It was literally so simple. I hate a film that is so complex, and or that a film is, or the plot is so complex. Sorry, if a film is so complex, it has to be compensated by at least a music. For example, I went to see Interstellar last year. You'd want to be a scientist or whatever, but that was compensated by the music in it or the music score. That's the reason I say, but at least one of those who have to be for this guy to see that movie, or at least recommend or whatever. When I get back to this particular film, which I will outline in more the plot, it is just so simple. That's what I enjoyed about it. I was most impressed with the way they portrayed the 1950s. It was like literally, it is highly recommended. So you see all the Americans going off to the land of the free, or the home of the brave, the land of the free, freedom, etc. Or in the history lesson we were taught, what's it called? The New World, that's what it was. Being the United States of America, or whatever, right? But in this case, she was going, the character of Eilish was emigrating to America because she literally had nothing to live for in Ireland. And that's why in Ireland. So, anyway, my point being is I enjoyed the way that was portrayed, okay? So, in particular, the way they used to use the boat from, that should say, from, not form, I don't know why form is there. Damn, I did it again. Let's try it again, right? So, from Cove in County Cork. So, the film is set actually in Enniscorthy, in County, that should say, just one county, County Wexford, okay? So she probably got the train, I think there was mention of the train down to County Cork in Cove, right? So Irish probably got the train over, like I said, or to Cove or whatever. But the number one thing that got to me was the emotions. Yes, there was a bit of, what's the word, not action, comedy or laughter. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of that. No worries about it. I obviously didn't read the novels, so I have been rattling my brain recently. You see, it's all these things of my ideas. This bit, you need cash for everything, If you go to the toilet, you need cash, but because of the water charge, you see. But beyond that, though, the plot, though, here's the accurate plot in question, right? As I said above, was most appreciative, i.e., very simple. That should say Eilish, because I thought, in the film it said Eilish being Ailish, but they call Eilish or Eilish the old-fashioned way, which is Eilis. But anyway, she's currently living with her mother. Couldn't get her character in her acting her name, and Rose, her sister. I assume that's her sister, played by Glasgow. I never heard this person before, but either way, she's very well done. Or they all were well done. She gets a hankering to move to Brooklyn simply because she's bored, or she's got, like the film enters when, what's her name, Eilish is working for, I think, some neighbor, whatever she is, knows M. Kelly. Could I find her name? I must stick that name just before I post it. But she, is not there. And the way, she treated the character, it's just unreal, for example, one of the characters asked, could I get, I think, my shoes or something like that? And M. Kelly says, is that a Sunday item? People are looking for ham, meat, yada yada yada, and yet she treated the customer like that. Like I'm assuming that's the way it was done in those days. That's why I enjoyed the movie, because the way they portrayed the 1950s, it's just wow, it was just unreal. Good chance I'll probably go back to the movie, but with the way the Cineworld are going, because the big movie of the year, which is the ending of the year, is about to be unleashed to all the geeks, nerds, etc. etc. So they're Cineworld are doing a minimizing every single other film, like Brooklyn. Like I went to see the 20 past 20 show of Brooklyn, and if I recall rightly, not tomorrow, Saturday I think, is even brought further smaller. So I bet you next Tuesday, which is when Cineworld change the times every single week, I bet you they'll change it. So I'm hoping for my friend's birthday, which I realize is this day next week. Hoping I might be able to go to see with him and see what times are like. But getting back to the film in question, like I said, very well done in terms of the way things were done in 1950. My parents, they were born in the 30s, so yeah, they've lived the 1950s. Probably not done in Wexford, sorry, but either way, they lived in the 50s, so I might ask them a thing or two about the 50s, because it opened up my eyes to see how things were done. Like I said, I gave an example of the woman asking for just to, I think it was to get her shoes shined or something, or maybe to purchase shoes. I cannot remember exactly, but just to be told, literally, fuck off, go get what do you call it? Come back another day. Like, come on, these days, I know it's all about money. That's all anything is. But these days, if your customer asks, could I get XYZ? Assuming you have it in stock, of course, you give it to them, and of course you sell it to them. You don't tell them, does this look like it? Like, look at all the people who want all the Sunday items. I was very surprised about that. Like I said, very well done. Anyway, I don't know why I keep harping about that, but that's how much I enjoyed. But anyway, moving on. Yeah, she got a hankering, like I said, to move to Brooklyn, which is in my baby New York City in the United States of America, whom she was helped by. I don't know who this father guy is. It's a priest over in the US. They obviously know the family. This particular guy knows the family, or something like that. But anyway, Father Flood, interesting name, who's played by Broadbent. Don't know his first name. Actually, I don't know any of them first name except Saoirse. In terms of a visa, excuse me, and a job, obviously to get to America you need a visa. Now again, she got a job as a salesperson in Baloch, something like that, in Jewel. I couldn't understand what the actual job. When we were introduced to the job, or what she was doing, she got something in a tube, alright, which looked like cash to me, alright, and she'd take that cash and give it to the customer, and of course the product itself. So I couldn't really tell exactly what it was. Now in those, I was saying to myself on the way home on the bike, imagine to be able to literally have some guy over in the States, literally just a guy, obviously related to the family, because I think this guy, or he knew the family or something like that. Don't worry about it, so I'll get you a visa and a job, and just hop on the, obviously you have to save up for probably the boat or whatever, hop on the boat and get into your new life. Now, would not be a lovely dream life from me now, when I move to New York, whenever that is. But these days, like that's back in the 1950s, in the 2015, or 20 noughties, whatever they call it, in 2015, I don't think you can have a sponsorship of a family member anymore. I don't think that exists. Now, obviously, this is just a film or a book. I don't really know what happened in the 1950s. Whether that actually happened, I don't know. Because I obviously wasn't even born. That's what 30 years before I even existed. I don't have my mother having sex with a guy. But anyway, my point being is, at the end of the day, like these days in 2015, you can't just simply get some guy in the States to sponsor you. There is such a system, I do know, if you're in it, to get a job, or if you're in a job over here, I think. No, if you get a job over there, you get that employer to sponsor you. You get your visa and then you sail in. I think that's the only way these days. And of course, I think that's the only way I can even think of. Like I said, I did try getting a US visa at the time, at one stage in the last few years, and they turned me down because I wasn't looking for a job at the time. I thought you could just simply apply for a visa, then you look for a job there, over there. Also, you bring cash over here to over there, but things are totally different. That's my point. So then, moving on, I don't want to keep going on hankering about one particular item, but anyway. Then, so she meets a sexy young Italian buck. By Jez, he was young and sexy, known as Tony, played by Cohen. God, I still don't know their first name. Excuse me. And it is with great sadness of which I'm not going to bother, because some people have not seen this movie, like it's only newly released by. Actually, it's not that new now. That I think it's released in the 6th of November. So depends on whether people have seen it or not. Because I used to do reviews the minute the movie came out, but a few things in my own life have delayed a few things, so that's why it could be a bit delayed. But anyway, for those who haven't seen it, I'm not going to tell you why she had to come up, but she had to come back to Ireland for things to happen at home, right? So, a while back, her friend, or I think her neighbour, whatever she is, Nancy, played by O'Higgins, sets her up with a guy, right? With a very cute guy, might I add, Jim Farrell, played by none other. I'm almost sure he's Irish. Majority of the cast, now that I think, are all Irish. Just one or two are a few American, obviously Americans. But anyway, a guy named Jim Farrell, played by none other than Donald Gleeson, son of Brendan Gleeson. Now, before Eilish returns to Ireland, though, Tony marries Eilish, so that Eilish promises, that's quotes, to return back to him. While in Ireland, she gets feelings for Ireland again. Initially, she actually became homesick. Kind of really bad. It was that's went through me as well, you see, because this would be my area, my path eventually, whenever that is, but it will be my path eventually. And when I saw what she went through, it went really through me, like the way Brooklyn was in the film was portrayed to be an Irish town, or boroughs, I think they call it, which I actually understood Queen was. Assuming Queens was around at the time, but I know, whatever. So, but anyway, so if you see you're Irish over here and then you watch over there, you're supposed to be feeling welcome over there at home. But whatever. Tony marries Irish, so that Irish keeps the promises. So Tony says, "Marry me," because Irish would have told Tony that, listening to or whatever, babe, whatever they call him, I have to head back home because XYZ, which I'm not going to tell you, right? So Tony says, "Marry me," and she obviously didn't really want to. She said, "Well, can't I not just promise you?" And he says, "Well, look at it, the same thing. Marry can equal a promise. Now these days, marriage is a whole lot more than just a promise." But anyway, to return back to him, so while she is back in Ireland, she gets feelings, for Ireland because of the weather, I suppose, or maybe the way things is set up, or whatever. Or she puts it on one of the days she was with Tony back in Brooklyn, she was on the beach and it was really packed. It's in Coney Island, which I helped her though. It's not Tony, no, it's Coney Island, and it was really packed. If you stuck your foot on someone, if you stuck your foot on the sand, chances are it'd be on a person. So yeah. So when she came back to Ireland and they went on the beach, yeah, she said, "Oh, this is completely opposite." Again, another quote to what happens over there in the States, So, moving on, she gets feelings for Ireland again, and of course, my precious Jim. He was a very cutie little fella. So, M. Kelly, I am assuming, is the villain. She's the person who was introduced at the very beginning of the film of who Eilish was working for at the time. Remember that I was telling you about a woman asks in a shop for shoes on a Sunday. That's what I'm talking about. It was in her shop. So M, I don't know what the M stands for, but M Kelly. Would you believe I don't think I could find who she's played by? Miss Kelly. Oh, sorry, Miss Kelly Bridge Brennan. Again, don't know who she is, so stick her name in there, alright? So Bing Brennan makes up her mind forever now by revealing, golly, how small this world is. Now, I'll just try and fill you in that particular. What I'm trying to say there is Miss Kelly, which what the M stands for apparently, calls a Eilish via Mary, which is played by Maeve McGrath. Is it Ogra or McGrath? Okay, it's in the area. Mary McGrath, sorry, yeah. Kind of, right, whatever. So Maeve McGrath, okay, asks who's played by, or Mary, who's played by Maeve McGrath, asks Eilish, listen, you're gonna have to go up to your one, Emmy Kelly or Miss Kelly. And obviously, Eilish being nervous or whatever, didn't want it, but it's desperate. So she goes up to meet Kelly, or to see her, to see what the story is. And as it happens, when Tony and Tony, what the hell is her name? Eilish were getting married over in New York for promises. As it happens, Tony went over to a guy and said, oh yeah, I'm marrying a woman from Ireland. And the guy whom Tony was talking to said, oh yeah, I know some woman down in Enniscorthy. Good chance she knows your one's family, Eilish's family. Well, as it happens, as it says on IMDb, her past comes to haunt her. What that simply means is, M. Kelly then tells Eilish, well, some guy over in New York, New York says, yep, we know who you are. You have to finding out that you marry. We are after finding out, I think in the letter it was said, that a neighbor up the road in the letters, somehow M. Kelly found out that you have to marry some guy over there. And then, you see, M. Kelly must have found out that your one is in love with, well, had feelings at least for Jim Farrell. I don't know why, maybe she's just being a vindictive cow or whatever, I don't know. So, but that's basically why she was being. That's why she mentioned it. Oh, isn't this how small this world is, considering you know that phrase very well, when she reads that a young girl from Enniscorthy married Tony, an Italian. So on that note, I will leave you all to guess the rest. Now, there's not much to guess, because literally, when M. Kelly said all this, what's her name, Eilish, says, yep, I think you've made up my mind. But like I said, I'm not going to ruin the rest in case for those of you who have not seen it. So I'm going to leave you, love you, and I'll speak to you all soon again. There she goes.